If I come over here to effects, this console, the whole dLive series, has 16 reverb and effects processors, so 16 effects racks. And in each one of these, we can pick from a big number of different processors. So when I hit library, then I can see reverbs, and you can see there are quite a few reverbs in here. These are all different reverb sounds that I can pick from. I can pick from stereo tap delays, and then among those, bucket brigade, echoes, ADT, chorus, flange, phaser, symphonic, subharmonics, gated verb, pitch shift, rotary speaker. This kind of goes on and on. Multiband compressors. This is kind of nice, so I can put these on my stereo bus. There's another way that I can do that as well. Transient controllers, dimension chorus, and empty rack. So empty rack is, I guess, if I just want to create a hole visually in my effects racks. An interesting thing about this is that according to the manufacturer, it doesn't matter how many effects processors you put in line, nor how many inserts you use, things like that. You remain phase coherent all the way through the console. So that's a nice feature, and it allows all of your sound to maintain some consistency no matter how many different plugins and things I'm using. They call a lot of this deep processing, or a deep plugin architecture. Don't remember what that stands for. They've got something that it stands for, but kind of what that means is I can come over here to my preamp section for an input channel, and I can press here, and it brings up a no model for a mic pre, a dual stage valve model for a mic pre, where I can bring up a tube stage. So I've got two different plugins plus a just console plugin for the mic pre. Now again, this is nice. Will you use it? That's up to you. I didn't hear a whole lot of difference. There is a little bit of change in the sound, but not a significant amount. Probably depends on what you're passing through that channel. But anyway, that is an example of the deep processing. So I can do plugins on things like the preamp. I can do plugins on the insert. So like on the insert, there's a Dyne 8. This is a multi-band compressor or a dynamic EQ. These do not count as a part of the 16 effects racks. This is a plug-in insert on a channel. So kind of nice. There's obviously a whole lot of horsepower inside of this mix rack that allows us to do these kinds of things. And again, as I insert something like this multi-band compressor as an insert on a channel, none of that adds up any additional latency to the console, as I understand it from the manufacturer. So there's that, kind of a nice feature. Again, just seems like there's a whole lot of processing power under the hood here. So as I'm adjusting or scrolling through the different effects processors, again, lots of options there. So this is where I'll talk about one of the neat features I think about Allen and Heath. I used to mix on an old GLD console, and it had this feature as well. When I go out to a reverb, say this one I've named vocal verb. So when I go out to a reverb, down here at the bottom of this, I see my send and I see my return. What's nice is this is not something I have to assign to a channel on the surface. What that means is I've got 128 channels to mix. Assigning 16 different mono send reverbs, and that would make 32 stereo returns. I don't lose 32 channels worth of mix capability because I'm bringing my effects back into the console. So everyone has a dedicated return channel. Now the advantage of that is that this is a true 128 channels to mix regardless of how many plugins or how many effects racks you're using. You're not using those is not eating up your channel count on the console. Really slick. So the way it was kind of described to me was it's 128 channels plus 32 channels. And that last 32 is just a function of the effects returns. They don't count against your mix total. So really nice feature that keeps me from having to eat into my live channel count.